Put the gun down.
Show me the box. What was in the box?
Because I envy your normal life.
Put the gun down, David.
It seems that envy is my sin.
What's in the box? What's in the effing box?
I just told you.
You lied. You're an effing liar. Shut up.
It's what he wants. He wants you to shoot him.
No. You tell me that's not true. That's not true.
Become vengeance, David.
She's all right. You tell me.
Become wrath.
Tell me she's all right.
If you murder a suspect, David.
No.
She begged for her life, detective. She begged for her life. And for the life of the baby inside of her.
Shut up.
He didn't know.
Give me the gun, David. David, if you kill him, he will win.
Oh, God.
Welcome to episode 22 of the Bernie Nowak podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Granz, and with me,
Chuck Fisher.
and
Dan Mendro.
Hey.
Let's go, boys. So,
Oh,
Chuck,
my God.
you were just telling me you're really frustrated about something.
Oh, my God, you
We're
guys.
just gonna get into it. Let's go. What are you mad about, Chuck?
I was watching Strange New Worlds, and I got to the episode where they all start singing. They were doing the musical. And like I'm a third of the way through the show, and it like, you know how they have the cuts for like commercial breaks?
Yeah.
The freaking thing cuts, and then it just does not come back. The TV just sits there and spins and spins. I'm like, what the frick? And I was laughing my butt off too, because it was like a really funny moment in the show. And I'm like, what is going on with this thing? So I finally, exit out, whatever. Go back in, it will not pick up. It will not resume. Whatever I do, it won't resume. So I rebooted all my cable boxes and everything because I'm watching it through cable. Still nothing. It will not come back. So I'm like, screw it. So the next day, today, I go, I'm like, I'll just watch the next episode. It's not a big deal. So I start watching the next episode, which is like there's like this whole Gorn attack and everything.
Ooh, they got
and I'm
Gorns.
like,
Nice.
oh yeah, and I'm like totally jazzed. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. And then it freaking cuts out and it won't come back. Like a third of the way through. Like,
what's your device that you're using? What device are you using?
It's just the cable box, man. And
you're watching through
cable
on your cable
I've
box.
watched how many 100 episodes, like the entire previous season, and then all the way up to that episode, which is like 6 or 7 episodes.
Okay, that problem sounds Comcastic. Like what you probably want to do is download the Paramount app on your Xbox, and it'll probably work fine.
Yep. Or I was going to download it on my phone.
Yeah, or that.
I was so frustrating though, man. I couldn't believe it.
So you got like the last 2 episodes you've watched, you've only seen about half of them?
I've only seen a third of them, yeah. And they're so good. Oh!
Terrestrial cable. How quaint.
Yeah, it sucks. I got to get rid of it. But my wife uses it for we have her fax line is, a VoIP line that we've used for years over cable. So we always have like basic cable. So it kind of sucks.
Faxing like
and
then
insurance probably, right?
Insurance, 100%
for
insurance.
her business.
The only reason we have it is for that. It
blows my mind that we still use faxing as like a viable thing, where there are such things as HIPAA violations and just other security breaches, where they're like, but it's okay if you fax something. So we're going to give you a phone number. We're going to leave the building that the fax machine's in. We'll be back on Monday. You can fax something, and it'll just sit in that machine until somebody picks it up.
Mm-hmm.
Secure. Yeah.
Well, email's not any more secure than that. Because
email's a lot more secure than that, actually.
What we used to run an email server on one of our machines at work, and some of our clients would use it. I don't even think we even charged for it. But like, you could look at the records and see like every email that came through and the content of that email.
Well, that was
nuts.
the way you ran a very unsecure email server. That's why.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Yeah, now like if you like, the way that you should have it is if you're like a CVS, because like CVS still gets all of like half of its prescriptions by fax from
Oh yeah.
It should be like a key card, and you pull the prescription or whatever off of the fax machine. Like you log it, you walk up, you tap it. This is what we do at work for faxes and for print jobs. Nothing prints until you tap in, and boom, pulls it up.
Yeah,
interesting.
Either that, or a lot of times it's not even a fax anymore. It's converted. It is a fax, but like if we send a medical record to another spot, it's the system sends it and it's picked up. And
I just gave you the perfect lead-in for murders, and you didn't pick up on it. You gotta tap in, man.
Okay.
Man, I missed that, dude.
Okay. That's
good.
That's pretty good.
Oh,
I just went all improvada there, so I'm sorry. For those in the IT world, you might get that, but So Dan, are you now officially all caught up?
I am caught up, and I watched the last episode twice.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm kind of bored.
Shush your face.
I am, man. I'm sure I have faith that it's going to get a lot more interesting and pick up, but I'm a bit bored after the last two episodes. Like, you guys really talked up the Paul Rudd return episode, and it just didn't grab me.
Oh man.
Very unexpected for me. You know what? Here's the thing, though. You have binged this show over the last 2 weeks. So you've had like an overload of it, where Chuck and I haven't seen it since the last season aired. And so maybe that has something to do with it, where it's just like, I've been watching it only 45 minutes a week as it drops. And, because maybe that was my whole thing with season 3, because and I remember I said season 3 was maybe my weakest of all of them. I had binged that entire show up to about halfway into that season. And by then, you kind of get some burnout and everything, So maybe that has something to do with it. I'm still really loving the series and the show. Like, this might be my favorite season. Like, I really, really like it. Like, I don't know if it's for the comedy as much as it is, I just think, for the heart. I just feel it's like really heartfelt and good. I love the Jane Lynch and Steve Martin connection, like their relationship and how that plays out. The Paul Rudd stuff, I just like Paul Rudd, so I was happy he was back. And I love the stuntman bar.
Yeah,
I love how he says film. I got a job on your film.
Just not doing it for you, huh, Dan? No, didn't get you.
I mean, it's a chuckle, but I mean, I think it.
Oh, spoilers, by the way.
Yeah,
we're gonna go hardcore spoilers on a lot of stuff today. So,
I don't know. I feel like it kind of picked up towards the end of this last episode a little bit, but it's been really like too much on the stupid film and not enough on the mystery, right? And the murder solving.
Really?
To me, yeah. And,
I felt kind of the opposite.
The first two episodes were all mystery, and then these last two have been like, it's really just been boom. We're going into the film, and I don't know. It's just it's like the first two were on the other side of in the other building, right? And all the ham and the pigs and the weird characters over there, and now we've gone full circle or 180 degrees away from them. And I know it's all going to converge at some point, but it just isn't like hitting me like the last season did.
So you know what irritated me about this last episode? I don't, and it's not a fault of the episode, but I called the brothers as the murderers, and
Allegedly, we'll see.
Well. I called them as being the murderers, and they started doing the thing where it's like, well, you can't time it, and they did the whole timing of all that, and I loved all that stuff. That was like the bulk of the episode, so I thought it was very mystery revolving around that, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be two people, it's gonna be the brothers, and then they go, it's the brothers, and I'm like, they're calling it too soon, it's not them now.
Yep.
Now it's
There's
not
no
them.
way.
Like, so the one that I predicted, it's not gonna be that. I mean, it could be, it could flip back around again, but do a bait and switch. But I was like, oh, they called them out too soon. Oh well. So we'll see where it goes.
I definitely think that during that sequence when Martin Short comes in and he's all like disheveled from him trying to do the thing.
Yeah, it was like
he hit a moment where he was very like that. He played that character of Martin Short like right at the edge, and I'm like, oh, Dan's gonna hate this part.
Well, that what funny enough is this where he's sliding down the banister. Got me laughing out loud.
Yeah.
Oh, I just liked it where he was like standing up on the windowsill, and he's like, not a good start, is it? They're like, no.
Yeah.
I thought that entire sequence was pretty good.
I loved it.
It wasn't the banister part. I just didn't. It was like it was chuckly, It wasn't,
yeah.
I do like how the character of the writer, like Eugene or something. I don't know what is. Yeah, he nails how I think of Martin Short, Peter Pan flittering around.
Yeah, it was great.
That's what I just hate when he goes that. So I don't have any problems with it. And I do realize like how much I love the detective. I don't know what that.
Yes,
she's great.
She's awesome.
She's very funny.
And I want more of her. And I want less of Eugene Levy. I know I love Eugene Levy. I don't want him in the show, like as much as he is. And I actually like Ava Longoria is great.
That one I was like, oh, she's in it, and she's been fantastic. Yeah, she's of the actors playing the parts, I think she's been the best one of the three.
Yeah,
well, for sure. So, but you're comparing him to like Steve Martin and Martin Short, like.
No, I'm comparing her to Zach Galifianakis.
I know. Well, right. Yeah. But Zach Galifianakis standing. Well, I think he's done such a good job though. Of being a complete ass, like he's done a really good. He's good at that though.
Like I want Eugene Levy and I want Zach Galifianakis to have more like the Amy Schumer role. Like they're in for 5 minutes and you don't really see it.
Right.
I want them just to be kind of on the periphery, not front and center. But just it's too much of a distraction. And I think that's what's kind of dragging it down for me a little bit. And I still love it. I'm not poo-pooing it at all. Great show. It just drags it down a little bit from the first 2 seasons.
And when you kind of mention, it gives you a chuckle. Like that's kind of where it's always at for me. And it's like, I just like that. Like I watch a lot of dark stuff, and I love dark things. I like our intro today. Like I think 7 is one of the best movies ever, and it's like one of the darkest. But I'm also at a point right now where I love stupid silly, and so going from, we finished up What We Do in the Shadows this last week. And then watching Only Murders in the Building, it's just like they put smiles on my face, and I'm really enjoying the lightheartedness of it and the innocence of it, and just the character interactions and that. It just makes me happy. It is the thing that makes me happy. I look forward to it every single week. So I'm glad they're doing another season.
Yeah. No. I'm not poo-pooing it. I just get it. Yeah. I just think it's the focus on the movie and the real actors and everything is kind of dulling it up a little bit at the moment. We'll see where it goes. Yeah. But no, and I'm all caught up. Loved it. I want more of. I love the John McEnroe.
Oh yeah, the John McEnroe bit was awesome.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Yeah.
I want to know, did they get him dressed like John McEnroe after they decided McEnroe was going to be on the show, or did they dress him up that way and then they go, man, you look like John McEnroe, and they called him up, say, hey, you want to be on the show for 30 seconds?
Or did John McEnroe just happen to be walking by at that moment while they were filming? Which is the way I prefer to have it, and they're just like, yeah, that works, just keep it.
Yeah.
All right.
Good stuff.
All right, a couple other things. I got a couple things that I definitely want to get into this week.
Cool.
Yeah, I got one little thing.
All right, why don't you go first then, Dan? Because mine kind of are connected.
The trailer dropped today for Shrinking Season 2.
Oh, I did not watch the trailer.
I didn't watch the trailer either. Why didn't you send that to us beforehand? Like I should have. Well, you know what? You know what? There's a second trailer that dropped today also, and it was for the Last of Us Season 2 also.
I still haven't seen Season 1. I will catch up on that on Season 1 before Season 2 hits.
Okay. And that Season 2 trailer, it hit really hard. But we're gonna sidebar that. Okay, let's go into Shrinking Season 2.
Dude, it looks so good. You gotta watch it. Okay. And I think it's kind of going back to. It's almost like there's a relapse of Jason Segel's character into his depression, and so it's kind of going to be like that impetus for Season 2. So I did see, God, what's the name of the dude that plays Roy Kent? He's the writer for Shrinking. Goldstein something, right?
Okay.
Shoot, Brett Goldstein is on the show now.
Okay.
Oh, that's
trailer,
cool.
And he looks totally different than Roy Kent. So looking forward.
Okay. Right.
The whole cast is back. So yeah, looking forward to it. It was one of my, it's like I watched Ted Lasso Season 1 and Season 2, and then Season 3 was getting ready to come out and Shrinking hit. And then Ted Lasso hit right after that, and I just completely abandoned Ted Lasso for Shrinking. Had no interest in going back to Ted Lasso because Shrinking I just loved so much.
Well, my wife's a counselor, and so just like every Friday, my buddy Todd was like, "Have you watched Shrinking yet? You got to watch Shrinking. You got to watch Shrinking." And I'm like, "We don't even have Apple TV, bro." So like he logged in on the TV. He's like, "Watch this." So we ended up watching it. So we watched that before we watched any Ted Lasso.
What did Renee think of it? Because my wife also, as you know, doing the same type of stuff.
We loved it. We both loved it.
She really liked it too. Yeah, and I thought it was great. And my favorite part about it is Happy Harrison Ford. Like Harrison Ford seems to be re-energized these last couple of years. It's going to take me into my segue coming up, but seeing him in Shrinking was the best I've ever seen him. I think probably in, I don't know, how long as I can remember. Like since Witness.
Since at least Witness, right?
Right? It's been a while. Yeah. It's been a minute.
Long time.
And seeing him do that, I mean, I liked him in the last Indiana Jones as well. And from all accounts, like he had a ton of fun doing the new Captain America movie.
Really? That's cool.
He even did a fake Hulk out because spoiler, he's Red Hulk. And he did the whole hulking out thing on stage at San Diego Comic-Con. Everybody's like, this guy's cranky and hates everything. What's going on here?
Exactly.
And the fact that he had so much fun doing it, got me kind of pumped about the movie. And
the baggage of Han Solo is off his shoulders. He's like, hey, he's dead. Finally, I'm free.
Nice.
No, he still came back.
Yeah, I know.
He still came back. He killed him and he still came. What? Okay, we're not getting into that one anymore. But anyway, So I'll watch the Shrinking trailer. Did they say when the show's coming out?
I did not pay attention to when. I was just so excited.
I don't typically watch trailers for shows.
Oh, I do.
Like 2 weeks.
Cool.
October, so
very cool.
That means they're gonna have to get Apple. Do they have a date on Severance yet?
Nah, I don't know.
I think that comes out early next year. I think they filmed it and it's been, but that is my favorite show on Apple.
I'll have to watch that. I haven't watched that yet. That's worth
the price, and that is a slow burn. And by the end, you're just like thrown into a tizzy. It's so good. So I cannot wait for season 2 of that. But Shrinking, yeah, it's great. Other trailer. So, did you guys watch the Thunderbolts trailer?
No, I did not.
You know, the one that I put in both the.
I know. You didn't really say the watch now.
I thought it was implied.
I didn't think I had to watch it. I just like, oh, that's interesting. Cool. That's
Like,
gonna be a fun movie.
Did you watch it, Chuck?
I did not watch the trailer.
All right. I forget it then. We'll watch it. We'll talk about it next week because the movie's not coming out for a while. I really liked it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It looks like it's kind of. You haven't seen it, so it's gonna have some interesting bits in it, though. That's for sure. It's got Winter Soldier. It's got all like these like B-level villains that have been in the movies or C-level villains, putting them all together and making them a team. It's a Suicide Squad.
I don't see the Winter Soldier as a bad guy anymore, though.
Did you watch Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Yeah, I did, and I
he's
didn't
not
feel.
Of course, he's not a bad guy, but he has a bad past and he has a tendency to do bad things.
Yeah,
historically,
he has
But I mean, Elena isn't necessarily a bad guy either, and Ghost is the one who is basically tortured and phases through things. She's not bad, so they're like kind of troubled. And then like what is it, U.S. Agent, the guy Wyatt, Kurt Russell's son.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's not a bad guy, but he's not really a good guy. So it's all like these like anti-hero type characters thrown together. I'm hoping. I don't know if Harrison Ford's going to be in that or not. It's possible he shows up at some point also.
He might be just for a shot,
He's just into it, man. He's just going to be hulking out all over the place. Yeah.
I'm intrigued by this because I wonder if this will breathe life back into Marvel. Do you feel like Marvel needs?
Well, we've finally got through writer strikes, COVID, all the things have kind of lined up, and now they kind of have the way to go. I think this one will do it. I don't think this is the one that does it. If it's a really good movie, yes. If it's just a decently good movie, I think it'll be fine. But what it does is it's going to set up Secret War. Because there's a lot of rumors. I mean, there's an asterisk at the end of Thunderbolts. I don't know if you noticed that. And everybody's like, what's the asterisk for? And a lot of people say, there's a reason for the asterisk. And so Juliette Lewis-Dreyfus is going to be the head of these Thunderbolts. And if you notice in the trailer, one of the cool things you see is they're inside of Avengers Tower. So like a lot of the Marvel movies, it's always known that Avengers Tower was sold off. Now we know who it was sold to. And one of the theories is that the Thunderbolts are the new Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And that theory moves into, well, why would they be Avengers? It's kind of sucky. We don't want them to be Avengers. That's not all these other characters. Well, that's a perfect setup for Secret War, where you have, or a Doom, the Avengers Doom movie, where Doom comes in and wipes them all out immediately. And now you've got your threat established immediately and, build from there. Which I think is a great, cool premise. I hope that's where it goes. That's just, of course, fan theorying.
Sure.
But anyway, too bad you guys didn't watch the trailer. So anyway, want to talk about Agatha?
Yeah, let's talk about Agatha.
Let's talk about Agatha.
Okay,
I only got the first 2 episodes because I didn't get to watch the third one.
Because your cable flips out on you still?
No, my wife was working.
Gotcha. Anyway, Dan, you had a nit to pick about Agatha. I know you watched the first 2 episodes, so I want to hear what it is.
I do, right? So let me premise. I recognized and saw the issue, and it wasn't entirely my issue. It was like my whole family's issue. So I watched it with Jana, I watched it with Tristan, and I watched it with Kaylee, my daughter, right? And they all were as, confused as fuck in that first episode because you have to have watched WandaVision in order to know what the hell was happening in the beginning of that. It makes zero sense, and they all watched it, and it's been a little while. It's been a minute since WandaVision. They needed to do a 5-minute recap of WandaVision at the beginning of that in order to catch up people, or to catch up people who have not seen WandaVision. it is way too fucking out there. And there, you can't set up Agatha in the show and understand what's going on until she, that first half of that first episode. It's just like,
I totally agree with you.
yeah,
I totally agree.
Yeah,
I thought it was a very. I expected that they would have that recap, and they didn't.
yeah.
I was stunned that they didn't have that recap.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need it. I was fine with it. I was able to flow with it. My wife and kids, they were fine. They didn't have any issue with it. But when I started showing the trailer last week,
Mm-hmm.
my wife goes, "Why would I want to watch this? Like this?
Mm-hmm.
What is this like horror? I'm not into that kind of thing." I go,
Yeah.
"This is the sequel to WandaVision. That's
Mm-hmm.
Remember Agatha." She goes, "Oh," and then it all came back to her. And then
Yeah.
then we watched the show and she got it. But
Yeah.
I
There's still
totally
a
agree with you.
yeah.
I think they shot themselves in the foot by not throwing out some sort of recap.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are still like little details where I'm kind of like,
Yeah,
I
for
don't
instance,
remember.
like I didn't remember it was called the Darkhold.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they said,
Yeah.
"Oh, the Darkhold," I heard that. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's what it was called." But it's like they could have had that thing where the Darkhold was taken from her when
Mm,
Wanda takes everything, puts her in. It could have been a 30-second thing, even. Not even. You didn't need
yeah.
much. You
Yeah.
know. I have no idea why they didn't do it. You're 100% right. I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't even need to be a recap in the beginning. It could have been,
Mm-hmm.
she could have flashed it back or something, or just taken that first 15 minutes of that first episode, where she's confused, she doesn't know what's going on, and then she starts, kind of how Wanda did at the end of, midway through WandaVision, kind of start to realize that she's trapped in a brain, in her brain or somewhere, right? And I think they could have done some sort of a sequence, to kind of catch everybody up without doing it as a recap too. But
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I got over it. I think the family has actually lost interest already, because of that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because I
That's
went
interesting.
and watched it
I don't know.
yesterday. Nobody told me, don't watch it. We got to watch it together as a family. Didn't get that from anybody.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I in secret watched the new one, so I'm all caught up. Did you? So you watched the new one? Yeah, they don't know I watched it. So what I do now is I'm going to watch it. For any family members listening to this, I watched the episode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to restart it and then stop it right away, so it doesn't look like I watched it. You don't see the blue bar on the bottom anymore. And then we can watch it. And I'll be like, "Oh, that was interesting. Wow." You watch it. You did not see it though, Chuck, right?
I haven't seen the third episode.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I saw the first two.
So we can talk the first two. We can talk a little bit more in detail about it and everything. Yeah, I definitely agree with the recap. But after the recap, after all that is said and done, like for me, like remembering most everything, I really, really enjoy this show. Like absolutely. Um, like as much as WandaVision, and one of the things I thought they were going to do in the first episode, we have that very Twin Peaksy sort of, or what was that show that was on HBO that had Kate Winslet, the king of whatever or something of the one town.
Mayor
Yeah,
of
Mayor. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
has that feel to it, even like in the title, the way they titled it, and I thought they were going to do that kind of episode, and the next
Mhm.
episode was going to be like, okay, now we're going to do like a Wizard of Oz episode, and the next episode was going to be, there it doesn't seem like they're doing it. I don't know how many episodes the show has. I haven't looked into that yet, but
Mhm.
the second episode definitely breaks that right away and doesn't choose a genre to go with, but it has so many elements of so many different witches and horror movies and everything thrown into it.
Mhm.
So, for instance, when they're the witches, um, the Salem Seven are coming into the house, which is my favorite sequence in the show still so far, when they start singing the song.
Oh yeah,
And the
yeah,
kid's
yeah.
upstairs, and the Salem
He's
Seven
freaking
are coming
out.
towards the house. He's freaking out, figuring out how to block out the house. They're slowly coming in and everything. And in the
Mhm.
bit where he runs down the stairs right after they open the door, and he's like, "Let's go!" He just like runs down the stairs.
Yep.
Was one of the coolest sequences ever. But then they're doing like the whole like what is it? The show where they're they're all like the witches are all twisted up and like walking crab walks and like exorcisty and everything on the way down. It, I don't know. In 3, there's some like really heavy witch stuff going on in that. I don't want to spoil too much because you haven't seen that part, Chuck, so we can like hold back on that part. But and the whole idea of the Witch's Road is very Wizard of Ozzy to begin with, where it's not the yellow brick road, but it's this thing where they have to come across, and each episode will be an obstacle, is my guess. They went through an obstacle this week. Next week will be a different obstacle, which I'm guessing will have elements of other witchy type of things.
How many episodes are there?
I don't know. There were 6 in WandaVision, if I remember right.
Okay, because we know that there are 5 challenges, right? So episode 3 is the first challenge. So they
9.
have 1 challenge.
They're doing 9 episodes.
9 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that I think we just kind of guess that the next 4 after episode 3 is going to be the next 4 challenges, right?
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so the last 2 episodes look like they drop on October 30th.
Oh, Halloween!
So they want to get it in by Halloween.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's 9 episodes. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Catherine Hahn is so good in the role, and one of the things I don't know if a lot of people know that there are so many deep cuts to Marvel Comics in this show, and it does not feel like it at all. Where I saw a lot of people either praising it or criticizing it, saying it doesn't have enough, it's not Marvel-y enough, or it's, or why it's great is because it's not Marvel-y. And honestly, it's like the lore and the deep cuts that are in this are pretty significant. I'm not quite sure who Teen is yet. I have some ideas. But
it's obvious what the show wants you to think he is, right? So,
what do you think it is, Dan?
Agatha's son.
So so is there Agatha's son, or is it Wiccan, who was Scarlet Witch's son?
I mean, it's pretty obvious that the show wants to allude that he is Agatha's son.
Possibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one option. The other option is just like he's Mephisto and he's messing with everybody. And so he's just like, hey, I'm going to trick you guys into taking me along so I can get the power.
Yeah.
So it's like him being, he's the overarching bad guy. I won't be surprised at all. So
yeah, we're drifting into some episode 3 spoiler area here, so I don't want to get too.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to be as vague as possible, also. Yeah. But I'm digging it. So Chuck, shame on you for not watching it. Tell your wife. She's ruining our podcast.
We had to watch Caitlin Clark yesterday, so.
Yeah. Here's my kind of take on the show so far: is that it's very good. It is not Marvel-y at all, right? Other than the odd reference to Wanda, right? And that's what I think made Wanda so good for me was the overall Marvelness of that. I know there's Marvel interspersed in it, but the story is really about a mom who wants to be a mom, and that whole relationship with herself and her kid and her kids, and I like that about it because I am so like so many other people, I'm so Marvel fatigued at all. That's probably why I didn't watch the Thunderbolts trailer, to be honest, because I've kind of had enough of Marvel right at this point.
Really?
So but anyways, it gave me a lot of both Stranger Things and Sabrina, the chilling adventures of Sabrina that was on Netflix a few years back. Not the Teenage Witch show that was on 20 years ago that one of my friends was on, but the newer one with Kierna. It's
whatever. The same character, right? It's kind of like a reboot of that, right?
Yeah, it is. But
because I watched it. I never watched the original. I watched the new one.
But I get kind of like a lot of the vibes about how they treat the witches, how the witches are kind of presented and everything there. So, Yeah, no, I dig it. It's cool. The third episode's great. The ending is fantastic. You kind of knew how the ending was because of the trailer, right? The trailer that came out right before episode 1 dropped, kind of spoiled the end of episode 3.
I
See,
didn't
and
watch
that's
the
a
trailer.
trailer. Okay, so it's talking about trailers that I don't watch. I won't watch the trailers that come out right before the thing I'm watching. I'll watch the stuff where I know it's like going to be months in advance,
Mm-hmm.
but then I won't watch the ones that are like the release trailers. I stay away from that stuff because that's the stuff that I'll be fresh in my mind and it'll spoil for me.
Okay.
But I didn't know. I mean, you kind of see it coming in the episode. And when it happened, I was like, oh, okay. But that also helps us bring another character.
Man,
back.
I gotta go watch this like right now. Like,
Yeah.
man, I hope my wife doesn't go to
Because
sleep.
my favorite character that hasn't, yeah, like I'm, without talking about it, I'm really excited about the character they're going to bring back, but I have some ideas of what that character actually is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, the one thing that I kind of struck me was I think it was actually a longer episode than Only Murders this week, which Only Murders has been around that 40-minute mark, but it was really short episode this week. And it kind of struck me because I thought Agatha, the first 2 episodes were really short. And I don't know if that was, because they dropped them both together, they felt they could get away with a shorter episode, right? But this one I think was almost 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was like 38 minutes or something. Yeah.
And I think Murders was only like 33 or 32 minutes or something.
Man, they gotta can they I don't know, come up with like a set length?
I know, really, right?
Do you need it? I don't know if I need it. I do what does the story correct. Do what does don't. Like
Yeah,
if you
that's a
said,
good point.
because I mean, think about it. You think about so many television shows that have to cut like a couple minutes here or there just to get it in because you have the commercials.
Yeah,
That's like one of the things we don't have to worry about anymore. So let it fly.
Mhm.
Well, I think like if you looked at the first season of maybe Mandalorian, there's some stuff they could have shortened and made those a little shorter episodes. I feel like some of
Mandalorian episodes are exceptionally short.
I don't know, man.
They could have cut like 8 of the episodes out, and it still would have
Oh,
been.
shut up!
Shut up!
Yeah,
You shut your face. I'm just saying, like
you go watch
there was some
episode 9 all
pacing.
by yourself and enjoy it.
There were some pacing issues. That's all.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Dan, let's talk about Marvel fatigue. You talked about Marvel fatigue. I want to get your whole like thoughts and opinions on that.
Like every movie's the fucking same, man.
Okay, for examples, give me some examples of that.
It's like how every.
No, I got a theory on this, and I want to see how you talk about it.
It's when you talk about formulaic movies, we're gonna have the comedic relief guy. We're gonna have the dumb guy. The dumb guy that comes in and he's super strong, but he's dumb. The Drax kind of character, right? We're gonna have a lot of witty remarks while they're gonna have banter while they're punching somebody without looking. They're gonna do the stupid ass Marvel landing. That they had to actually make a whole movie about how dumb the Marvel landing is, Black Widow, right? And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just like I feel like everyone has gotten worse. I think the TV shows have gotten better, but the movies have just gotten to be just what I say should just be pulp, right? And it's gotten away from storytelling in the movies, and it's gotten into the big explosions and the special effects and the cool transforming of Iron Man suit and Captain, the new Captain suit, Falcon, and that kind of stuff, and less about, like the original Iron Man was just such a good freaking story, right? Wrapped around Marvel, and the superheroes kind of complement it. Aspect of it complements that movie, and just as it's gone by, I feel like it's just it just doesn't do it for me anymore. And I think it's just because it's like rinse and repeat, splash on a different coat of paint. I don't think they're terrible. I think they're fun, but I think that it gets boring when you just keep kind of doing the same thing over and over again. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
Okay, so my counterpoint would be that some of the worst Marvel movies are more towards the beginning, such as Iron Man 2, Thor 1 and 2. In some of those where they're still trying to get their feet figured out. I mean, the Incredible Hulk is not that great of a film. It's okay.
Which one is that?
That's the Edward
Is
Norton
that-
one.
Edward Norton, yeah.
And I'm one of like those guys where I'm like all the Hulk ones. I'm good with the Hulk movies, all of them. I kind of
Okay.
like them, except
But
for
then-
the one with Tim Roth. Is it Tim Roth? Yeah, Tim Roth, right? It's Tim Roth, right? Who plays the Special Forces dude that they send it. Whatever. But anyways,
Yes, that's the Incredible Hulk. That's the
yeah.
only one that's an actual Incredible Hulk movie. They haven't had any other Incredible Hulk movies that are in the MCU. The
Right.
old like the one with Eric Bana that was done. That's not
No,
MCU.
anyway,
Here's my whole thing. So I would say that if we're just going to talk about MCU in general, I think that you're wrong. But I think if you take all the comic book movies, pull them all out, pull all the DCs, pull all the independent, pull all the Sony crap, pull all the Fox crap, and now you've got a lot of movies that are a lot of the same. You've got reboot upon reboot upon reboot. But if you tell me that Quantum Mania, the Ant-Man movie, is the same as the Last Guardians movie, I don't see a lot of similarities there.
I don't know if I saw Quantumania,
or even the Last Guardians movie doesn't anything like any of those. Or the last Ms. Marvel movie is not anything like. These aren't very similar movies, but there are varying qualities within them. But now, if I'm going to say there's fatigue, I wouldn't say necessarily it's MCU fatigue, but more of like a superhero fatigue, because most of the stuff that has come out has been pretty terrible. When you take like Madam Web. When you take, most of the DC stuff, the entire Snyderverse is terrible.
yeah, I don't agree with you on that. So.
Yeah, well, those are pretty formulaic. If we're going to talk formulaic, I mean, you had a Batman and superhero movie and crapped its own pants. So, and while like the new stuff, like the new Batman movie, is I think absolutely hands down the best Batman movie they've ever done. And so I love the direction that they're going in, and I love that James Gunn is taking control, and I think he's going to have a lot of refreshing stuff, starting with Peacemaker. That's in the last Suicide Squad movie that they did. That's a great start for that. But I think when you talk about the Marvel shows versus the movies and all that, I think the shows have been hit or miss. I mean, Secret Invasion is like the end of that is terrible.
I've never watched it.
Yeah, me neither.
Right? And this is how I can tell you it's gotten dull and boring from a storytelling perspective. I never watched it, and I didn't watch it because I didn't have time. I chose not to watch them because the ones that preceded them were dull and boring. And I don't mean dull and boring like
which ones? Like which of the MCUs did you think were dull and boring?
Pretty much everything since Infinity War.
Okay, Shang-Chi.
Yeah, it was.
See, I love Shang-Chi.
And I'm not saying they're bad, right? It's like it's the same. All the Ant-Man Wasp one. They're funny, I get it, but they're all essentially the same thing, right? And you got a guy running around in a suit, and then you got somebody with special powers, and then you find that character comes in, Ant-Man and Wasp. It's like their wife comes in, and oh, boom, she's the strong superhero, right?
Yeah, I know. And then you got like those fantasy movies where you got the elves that are all like perfect, and the dwarves, and then you got a magic guy. I mean, these are genres.
Yeah, I hate all those.
I guess it's just like the genre doesn't like fly with you then, because I mean,
nothing. How many Marvel movies are there?
Probably about 27.
27, right? 27. How many Marvel shows are there?
Guess how many Marvel comic books there are?
I don't care.
But I'm telling you, there's a lot of stories are in there. There's a lot of stories. Like, how
But
many?
they're not focusing on the stories in the movies, right? They're focusing on the eye candy. They're focusing on the same. Eternals. They took a risk, and it didn't pan out. I think
it's one of the better movies too.
It is. But because it didn't pan out, they went back to the same thing again, right? They went back to the same characters that sell tickets. They went back to the same, hey, I'm sure if I went out to YouTube to find, like a YouTube summary of all the Marvel movies and how they're the same thing, I'm sure somebody's already made this argument for me and put together the clips to show it. But this is what I can tell you. It's like, I have almost zero interest in going to see a Marvel movie at this point in time. Like Thunderbolts, I love David Harbour. And I thought he was really funny and really good in Black Widow. I don't want to see the movie. I'm going to see it for the podcast, but I have no desire to see it. None.
I don't necessarily. I don't necessarily agree that every movie is formulaic. I mean, I guess that it would be in the fact that there's a superhero in every movie and a supervillain
in a superhero.
But right. But I think for me, when you said fatigue, I was like, the amount of content is so massive, that's what I was thinking. That's where my brain went first, was like just the fatigue, like working through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when there are, like, I didn't hate Iron Man 2. I know it's not great. It's not a great movie. I didn't think the first
is that the Russian dude?
Yeah.
And
the first Thor movie I thought was it was weird. It just looked like there was good. Like a scene. There's a scene in that movie where I was like, it just felt like a bunch of guys walking into Comic-Con. It just didn't feel. It didn't have that like superhero moment,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, it was just weird. But like Justin said, they were still trying to get their legs at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's cool about like all the little stuff. Like if you have a favorite character, like I like Winter Soldier a lot. I think he's cool. The movies where he's in it, I really, I made an effort to watch those movies, and I really like the character development and all that story stuff. So I think that's all you got to do, is because I also like Doctor Strange a lot. I think he's a very cool character. Here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. I hate Spider-Man as a character. I think he's boring and he sucks. Especially this one. This Spider-Man is the worst of the Spider-Man. However, that third movie is so good. It is so good. And I was like bummed when he first said he wasn't going to come back as Spider-Man. I was like, no, dude, what? You have to come back as Spider-Man, bro. I want to know what happens.
Yeah, he went and did Uncharted, and he's like, yeah, I guess I got to go to Spider-Man for the rest of my life.
I think Uncharted wasn't a bad movie.
I didn't finish it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I got bored, and then I turned it off and never went back.
Wow!
Someday I'll finish it. I was like,
I thought my kids have watched it like 2 or 3 times now. They love it. But I guess at the end of the day, when I went and saw the new Deadpool, and it's Ryan Reynolds making fun of the MCU over and over again, he hit on just about every joke and complaint that I think most people who aren't like, you have so many comic book geeks out there, right? And I think if you're a comic book geek and you've gone through all this and you have a reason to get excited about the content that they're going to cover. And I think the way I would perceive somebody like you, Justin, who really knows this stuff, right, would be that you are able to get past a lot of the hangups that I have, just because you're looking forward to, you already know all the details of the stories that they're trying to tell, or a lot of those details, and you kind of know where it's going to go, and you're waiting for the journey down the road to get there, and you're okay with all the other little things that I've read a few comics right in the past, but I'm not a comic book geek or
I'm
nerd at all.
guessing you've never read Civil War or Secret War or any of that stuff.
No, I'm going to guess 90% of the people that are going to go see the movie have
I
never.
didn't. I have no concept of any of that stuff.
Yeah, so but I mean, here's the thing: like Civil War is nothing like it is in the movie.
It doesn't.
Like that kind of stuff.
It doesn't matter to us, right? It matters to you to a point, but you can still kind of draw the connections and go, hey, the overarching story, the outline of it. We're going to hit on that, and then it's going to be kind of cool, like how they change it if they do it well enough from your perspective. Like any other material, like Lord of the Rings or whatever, when they hit on it or they take a new take on it, and you can be critical of how they do it. Even you can be critical of the fact that they do alter it or change it. But it's like I think there are things in when you cover, and I think we talked about this like with Fallout, right? Is if they just went through and did the Fallout 3 or the Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 5 story verbatim, it wouldn't have been as good, right? And the fact that they chose to bring bits and pieces of it and craft a new story within all of that was what made it, is part of what made it so really fucking good, is to work outside of the main attractor of the source material, but still draw tangents or intersections with it enough.
I would argue that's exactly what Marvel and Kevin Feige have done with the MCU.
God.
they like none of the stories are identical. They do take parts of them and craft their own stories.
I
none of the stories are the same.
I couldn't imagine how would you even translate necessarily all that comic stuff into a film? I think it would be very difficult, I think.
Like there is yet to be a Spider-Man movie where they have done the origin of Spider-Man the same as it was in the comic books.
Right.
I think you're missing the point I'm trying to make here. The point I'm trying to make is within this world, right, you're focusing on the same freaking characters. I know there's a ton of characters, but it always comes back to Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Spider-Man, the big guys, right? And the stories always revolve around them. And I know they've taken some other ones and gone outside of those. And some of the TV shows really focus on other things like Daredevil. That's really cool. And it's less about Daredevil and, more about the supporting characters. And I think it would be more interesting if there were less explosions, less costumes and everything, and focus on a story within there and less on the special effects and everything that goes along with it. And it's hard for the masses want, they want Transformers in a MCU film.
Yeah,
what I mean? They do. And I don't think it's just not doing it for me because it's gotten, I'm gonna, if I go see Thunderbolts, I guarantee you or maybe it'll surprise me, but I'll probably roll my eyes at least 50 times in that movie because I've seen the same thing in one of the 27, 30 other movies that they've done in the last 24 years.
But storytelling is formulaic. I think for me, when it comes to the MCU, I think they were when the first Iron Man came out, the first Captain America movie, I was blown away because I had seen these characters on screen before and they were laughable. And in those movies, I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like the detail in the costumes, the detail in the story. Like I thought here's what the MCU does. The MCU does it right. They do it really, really, really well. Like probably the best of everybody who's ever made superhero movies. They've done the best. Now they've just done it 27 times. And that's where I think the fatigue's coming in is like, okay, I've seen this. There's no like new groundbreaking thing, which I could see that could become boring after a while.
Yeah.
But
Chuck, you hit something huge there. Go ahead.
Again, though, at the end of the day, like who do you want making the next superhero movie? You want those guys doing it because they're still the best, And yes, maybe Thunderbolts will have like a lot of it'll be similar to like other movies. Yeah, it probably will, but I mean, it's just not another like. I mean, now we're overloaded with superhero movies, but back in the '80s, like all we watched was like, I don't know, romantic comedies, like funny like comedy shows, and then what else was a big like all the sci-fi stuff was in the '80s.
Yeah, every once in a while we get a good Spielberg and a good Lucas movie.
Yeah.
That's like it. And here's the thing, like I think you kind of hit upon it, like where it's like, Dan, I almost want to call you a spoiled brat, because I remember what it was like, and what we didn't have. And when Lord of the Rings came out and they made the huge gamble to film all three movies at the same time, put them all together, and New Line went and threw all that money at it and said, go ahead, Peter Jackson, make the movies. And he banged them out and became like the new holy trilogy of movies where he was able to hit all the right things. Even the Tolkien fans, like, is as picky as those guys are, still went out and saw these movies and enjoyed them, and that was kind of like the start of it, where we had like the X-Men movies, we had some Spider-Man movies. There was no connective tissue between hardly any of them. And when the MCU came along and they're like, hey, we're actually going to take these characters and they're going to be able to get in these movies and it's going to be a living universe, that had never been done before. That was never even like how, like, just the scope of it and like where it's at. You could say you're bored with it because you've seen it all and nothing's new to you, and it's a total valid opinion, Dan. I mean, I'm not discounting like your opinion of this at all. I'm just kind of bummed that you don't enjoy it as much, like, because like me and my kids get excited. I mean, mostly my younger one. My older one feels a lot of the same way you do, where he's just like, yeah, it's fine, I don't really care. But also he's seen like 7 movies in his entire life, so his brain isn't even fully cinematically developed yet. I'm like, hey, I have to like pull him in and like, we're gonna watch Doctor Strangelove tonight. And he's like, oh, and then it's his favorite movie. Okay, now we're gonna watch it, so I'm like trying to educate him on some other stuff too. But it's like kind of like those event films where it's just like, those are the stuff I wanted all the time when I was younger, and now I get them all the time now, and I'm not taking any of it for granted. I am really, really happy that I get these things, and so it bums me out when people that, it's just like, how many years between like Return of the Jedi and Episode 1?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like I had this void of Star Wars where I didn't get anything. And then after Episode 3 and then Star Wars sucks. It's the dumbest thing ever. George Lucas ruined everything. And then we can start up and get more stuff. Finally, after even like a longer wait, like between 2003 and 2015, I think it was, or 2017, I think was when Mandalorian dropped, something like that. So I had this huge 15-year gap there also where I didn't get anything except some cartoons, which some of them were great, but and just like, so when I see something like Acolyte get totally, crapped on, or like the Marvels get crapped on or anything, and just like, I'm like, man, I'm just happy I'm getting this stuff, and it's just like, I'm looking at it for the good stuff. I'm not, I just enjoy that I actually get this content that I never thought I would have, never in a million years.
Well,
And yeah, like the entire like Infinity Gauntlet, that story's not the same, and I could criticize it all to hell and be like, well, actually, the reason that Thanos wanted the Gauntlet was to impress Death. That's the actual story. That's the actual comic. He fell in love with Death, wanted a Gauntlet to prove that he was just as powerful as she was, and she shook him off and goes, "I don't care, you're dumb." That's the story of the Infinity Gauntlet. Nothing like the movie, but the movie's amazing, like having all that, bringing all that stuff together. So I'm looking forward to seeing that again in another couple years when they do Secret War and like the Doom stuff. If it doesn't hit, I hope it does, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I think they gambled big time because they weren't going to be able to do what the comics had done over the last 40, 50 years, however long it's been. And I think that they gambled because there were these fans who existed, and if they didn't like the changes or the fact that they had to go in different directions, it could have bit them.
I don't think Disney cares about comic fans in that manner, though.
Disney does it, but Kevin Feige does.
That doesn't matter.
It does.
Well,
It does when Disney says yes, you can make it. If he screws up, then
If the
Disney
box
cares.
office receipts aren't there, the
Then they
movies don't.
care.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
only time they care. Um, I guess, I think there has to be a pause, right? There has to be a time for the audience to catch their breath on these stories that are all It's too much.
It's like
There
less than
was
2 movies a year.
That's too much.
But
Two
here's
movies a year.
Yeah.
2 movies a year is too much.
Here's what
It's,
Dan
I think
needs.
it's too much when you add like all the DC stuff, the Fox stuff, the Sony stuff, and then you have like 6 or 7 movies a year. Then I think, yeah, I agree.
I think
No, it's all fucking connected, right? Everything rolls. Like you can't go to any movie now, right? Because of the Marvel effect on after credit scenes. Everybody has to wait because we might get a sequel that's connected to this story, and we're going to see a little glimpse of it here. I mean, like everybody's looking at their phone. Is there an end scene? Is there an end credit scene? Oh, how many are there? Oh, we're going to get 2. We might get 3. It's like, give me a standalone movie that has nothing to do with fucking MCU multiverse with a good story on it, and I'd probably be all in. But give me a 4 or 5 year break of no movies and no TV shows.
that's what you need.
That's what I think the vast, like a large part. I think people don't even realize how much better they will be if they get that.
I don't think Disney's going to be like, yeah, let's take a 10-year break on that because we're raking in billions a year.
Yeah, they just made $1 billion off of Wolverine and Deadpool, and wait till Secret War comes out, and Secret War is going to make $1 billion. Fantastic Four is going to make $1 trillion.
Hold up. Deadpool and Wolverine is a totally different type of movie than the other MCU movies, though, right? It's a Deadpool movie that makes fun of the whole year. It's a parody of Marvel.
And it still has all the elements.
It's all in there, man.
It's all in there. It's not anything different.
It is a.
And if you don't know who Blade is,
it is a direct discussion between Deadpool and the audience about all the stupid shit that Marvel has done.
But I wouldn't understand it if I haven't seen all the other movies.
At the same time,
I wouldn't know who Elektra was, or I have to watch Elektra to get it. I have to watch Blade to get it. I have to watch, come on, it's the same thing. And people loved it and ate it up.
At the same time, though, he's in the universe.
I get it.
Yeah,
but he's in there as a joke. It's a joke character in this kind of movies. It's a joke character to make fun of it all.
He's a joke character in the comics too, though.
It got there because people had enough of the rest of it. I'm telling you.
Well, we will see when Fantastic Four comes out if you are correct.
Also, Dan, you could just stop watching.
Yeah, you could just not like them.
Just take a break. Just take a break, man.
But I gotta watch it for the podcast now.
Oh, see, this is why I like this.
Rough.
See, now we're torturing
watch
them.
The movie.
Yeah, you gotta watch. Superheroes.
Okay, just on another lighter note, just to change topics a little bit.
Yeah.
So, my wife's started volunteering with these kids like on Wednesday nights, like it's like a camp or something, like after school kind of thing. And one of the guys she works with, his name is Kal-El.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that like legit. It's spelled the same and everything.
Do they call him Clark just to like hide his real name?
No. Huh. She keeps calling him Kal-El. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's like Superman's name. I'm like, I know the name.
Are we getting AA around here? That's what I want to know.
Well, is the father named Jor-El? That's what you need to find out.
I don't know, but I'll ask her. I'll ask her to find out. I was like, Renee, do you realize? I think that's Superman's name.
Hey, if you go by Cal, I mean, you could do it. You can get away with it. I mean, I think there was somebody that was named Luke Skywalker recently that got denied a passport.
his middle name was Skywalker. Yeah. Which, by the way, like, that's kind of badass, to be honest.
It's not a. I mean, is that what the story was? So he had the middle name was Skywalker?
I don't know. I just heard that his middle name was
I didn't
Skywalker.
read the article either. I just like skimmed the headline, and
I'm assuming that, you know, because it's probably probably not necessarily patented, but it's got to be copyright, right, or something.
No, you could say Skywalker.
Well, I'm just wondering what the issue would be. I don't know.
I changed my middle name to Burning Ewok.
Listen, I wanted to name my kid Corbin Dallas in the worst way.
Multipass?
Yeah, but my wife was dead set against it. Well, then I didn't have a son. I didn't have a son, so hell yeah, it was gonna be Corbin. Corbin Dallas Fisher. It'd have been awesome. Coolest fucking name ever, dude.
God.
Dude, my son would have just been cooler than me immediately. Just immediately. Oh well, didn't have a son. What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
Hey, on that note, would you guys ever name your kids after a character from, I don't know, any movie, film, book, comic?
Guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tristan is named after a character from a movie.
I don't know a movie.
I'm not going to say.
It's Eating Gilbert Grape.
It's Eating Gilbert.
Eating Gilbert Grape. Just kidding.
The Bonfire of the Vanities.
What?
Yeah.
My daughter's named after a character from
The Burbs.
The Burbs. That's it. From an Arthur C. Clarke novel. So.
I did know that. I did know that.
Yeah, but my second daughter, I just made up her name. It's like, I don't know. This sounds good.
You guys want me to tell you the name of the movie? Honestly, I can't remember the name of the fucking movie right now.
Well, yeah, you can. I mean, if you don't want to, I mean, if it's a personal
he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember the name.
Oh, that's why he can't tell us.
It was Iron Man 2. It was Iron Man 2. That's where the name came
Whiplash.
from. Well,
your son's middle name is It's Tristan Whiplash.
Oh, yeah, no. It's Stardust.
Okay.
Okay.
Is the main character was Tristan? Okay.
Yeah.
So. Well, my oldest son is Willem, so after Willem Dafoe, we called him the Green Goblin when he was born.
Yeah. And you know who plays Tristan in Star Wars?
Are you serious? Right? Wait, hold on a second. Are you serious that you named him after Willem Dafoe? Okay.
No.
That guy's got a face, man.
Yeah. No, Willem Dafoe, honestly, one of the greatest actors ever, but we just like the name. And our families, both my wife and my family, have a lot of Wills in there, but we wanted to mix it up a little bit.
Mm.
So that's why it's Willem.
Gotcha. So, hey, Stardust.
Never watched it.
It's fantastic. It's awesome.
The guy
Great movie.
Who plays Tristan.
Yeah, I know exactly who it is. It's Daredevil.
It's Daredevil. It's Charlie Cox.
Charlie Cox. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
we just good. And I forgot about that until about a year and a half ago. We rewatched Stardust because we wanted the kids to see it, and it was awesome again. I love that movie. It's a great. It's a Neil Gaiman story, and it's very Princess Bride like. I would say that'd be the closest comparison. It's just a fun ride. Good little fantasy sort of.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another really good one like that came out around the same time is Inkheart.
Yeah.
With
That's Brendan Fraser. Yeah, and he actually, if you've ever listened to the books on Audible, he does the voices, or he does the narration on the books.
Does he really? Who's the guy that plays the bad guy in that? He's so good.
Bill Bixby.
Oh, it's Andy Serkis.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool. Andy Serkis is the bad guy, and then Paul Bettany's in it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cast right now. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Good stuff. Yeah, we have
never saw either of those movies. When did those movies come out? 07 or 08?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were probably like right in the middle of like having small children,
kids.
And it's like there's that weird void of when you saw them, and that just happened to be one of the ones I saw.
I think the only I think me and Renee, when our kids were real little, I think we got to see one film in the theater, and it was like one of the Chris Nolan Batman films.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, no, there's like a huge between 2004 and I don't know. It was a lot of like kid movies at the theater. I didn't see a ton. Like every once in a while, I'd sneak out and get one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. You guys ready to pack it up?
Yeah, let's pack it up, pack it in.
Yeah. Let me begin.
It's like, oh, keep going, keep going.
Oh no.
Oh, all right.
All right, guys.
Okay, just real quick question before we go. Just so I know, have either of you been to a Diddy party?
No.
Okay.
No.
So we're gonna be okay.
How
All
much
right.
baby oil do you have?
All right. I just want to make sure that we're not gonna get like shut down or anything.
My hot
All
tub
right.
was just baby oil.
Okay.
Just baby
Well,
oil.
that I believe. Okay. All right. I'm gonna cue the music. Like, subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this spirited version of the Burning Hour podcast.
Peace out, everybody.